welcome back to another Wife Pick Wednesday right here on Surreal Cinemas with me, your host, not Duke Nukem. Today we're going to be reviewing Doom. Yay! So, grab your coffee, your tea, your water, your whiskey, your beer, whatever floats your boat, and let's jump into it. Now, Doom was a 2005 movie starring Karl Urban and Dwayne Johnson. And let me tell you right now, this is one of Dwayne Johnson's earliest movies, and his acting is dreadful. Absolutely freaking dreadful. And this was a bit to watch. I'm not going to say it's bad, but it's early 2000s. Now, anytime you do any sort of renditioning or this is based on the video game Doom, which I played quite a bit as a child. I also played Duke Nukem, just so you know, and a little 007. I played a lot of things. I'm such a nerd. So yeah, it's an old trope where archaeologists find something in a dig, and it takes them to this world-shattering new technology that aliens or something built a long time ago. In this case, it's called the Ark, and it's this giant, like, water bubble thing that's just, I don't understand at all. Like, even the physics of it just wouldn't work. But whatever, it's science fiction. So it takes them to Mars. And so after a while they build up I don't really want to call it a space station. It's like a research station on Mars. And they find things, as they usually do. Now, on the surface, this is supposed to look like an archaeological, anthropological situation. But really they are experimenting up there. Yep. That's absolutely when things go wrong, as they usually do. So now you've got a group of gung-ho Marine Corps, special ops kind of guys up on a freaking research station on Mars with a whole bunch of civilian scientists and these god-awful mutants. And they are absolutely hideous looking. So this is kind of like if you take Aliens and any sort of zombie movie and just smush them together. So this 24th and 25th genome, 2 extra genomes on these people can either make you superhuman with superhuman strength and a bigger brain, or it can latch onto the genetic markers for evil, and you turn into these monstrous, infectious, ugly mutants. And this kind of brings up the weird, but also intriguing thing about genome mapping and being able to change DNA, and the way that science is going these days. Is it a good thing? Is it an iffy thing? Do there need to be more regulations around where science will take you and what we will allow? I only got into it a little bit for research for this, and it was absolutely mind-boggling, and I don't understand most of it. No idea what they're talking about. I am not a scientist, any sort of measure. But it is an interesting concept. Now, here's the thing. Okay, so this is in the future. And the fact that there are still a reason for something like special ops is mind-boggling. I'm hoping that we will never need a military in the future, that the world will just be at peace. But that's just my utopian desires, I suppose. But you have the same makeup with most military movies. You have the sergeant or the general or the top guy. You have the super soldier, the by the book, everything's got to be done by regulations. You have the warmonger, the guy who's in it just, to fight. You have the weird one, the absolute sycophant, what is wrong with this person's brain one. And then you always have the new kid. Now, in these kinds of movies, the new kid is always an excuse to drop exposition, and this movie is no different. They use the fact that this kid is new to give you all of the back information that you need to know in order to make this movie make sense, which is fine. It's a better way of doing it than like flashbacks, because those are really, really annoying. I can't stand, or the big long monologue at the beginning of a freaking movie. Like, why are you wasting 15 minutes of this movie to describe this to me? If it's important, find another way. So they do that. They do it nicely. This new kid is, he looks like spaghetti noodle, honestly, compared to everybody else on the team. So they asked the one guy, Karl Urban's character, to stay behind because he has a personal relationship with this particular science station. His parents died there. His sister works there currently. And it's just... But he ends up going anyways. He sneaks onto the helicopter at the last minute, and Sarge just lets him because it's another gun on the team, right? Sort of mentality. Sorry, I lost my spot on my notes. And I mean, you can't see that, can you? You really can't see it. I wrote notes. So you have the typical military rudeness and bragginess and shenanigans that happen when you get a bunch of boys together hopped up onto testosterone and give them guns. Okay, they all think they're John Rambo, which is fine. But yeah, so you've got these super alien human hybrid thingies with 2 extra chromosomes and a whole lot of hostility. If there is a gene for evil present, is that even possible? Can you tell if a person is... I mean, you can tell through family history if someone is more susceptible to things like psychosis and homicidal tendencies and stuff like that. But is there really a thing called an evil gene? Is that really a thing? And if it is, what happens if we start testing for it early? I mean, do the children who are born with this particular gene, do they just get or sent to special camps or I mean, I'm pretty sure there are people that, if this is an actual thing, and I'm not sure it is. Like I said, I tried to look into it, but the science was way beyond me. If this is an actual thing, I'm pretty sure that there are people out there who have the gene but aren't evil. Just like some of us can carry the genetic markers for Alzheimer's or diabetes or obesity that aren't any of those things. Ironically, regardless of my size, age, or the genetic markers for diabetes, I am not diabetic. I got close. I got to pre-diabetes, but I've never gotten past pre-diabetes. So it should be about the same thing, right? You would think. I would think. Anyways, let's move on beyond the mind-boggling, terrifying science aspect of this movie. So you have these things, and they get loose in the lab, as they always do. And the scientists that are there for the archaeological or anthropological side of things don't know that the other scientists are doing this gene work. So of course it gets loose because they're trying to hide it, which means that they're not paying attention to safety protocols. Who does? So like the technology in this, even though this is 2005, was really interesting. You have this thing called a nanowall, and you can pass through it, but as soon as you flip a switch, it turns solid. Nothing